Hi folks, good morning. How is everyone today out there in webinar land? It's Ian McDougall from VTIC, and together with our digital partner WebFirm, we're proud to present the latest in our webinar series. Before we talk on the webinar though, just a quick reminder everybody, it's Victorian Tourism Conference time coming up 24-25 July. That's next Monday, Tuesday at Flemington Racecourse. Registrations have officially closed, but just for today's webinar participants, we'll open them up again. Have a look at the program, victourismconference.com.au, and if you're keen, please give me a call in a couple of hours' time, 86625431, and we'll get a late registration or two in. So it's a really compelling workshop, workshops, presentations, should be a great couple of days. But hey, it's all about today. Today is the webinar on the 2017 RACV Victorian Tourism Awards and online entries, how to do those. They're great awards, and today's webinar is proudly presented by VTIC's Program Manager for the awards, Mike Hamilton, and also Parks Victoria's Justin Vaughan. Now, Justin is both a state and a national judge. Everything you want to know about the awards, you've got Mike and Justin here. So it's over to you, boys. Good luck.
Thanks, Ian, and welcome everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here running this webinar, and today's webinar is actually going to be a bit of a combination of or a refresher from our workshops that we've run across the state throughout June. We ran 14, one in each region. Now, what I will tell you is that the workshop that we ran in Sovereign Hill in Ballarat is actually being filmed, and there's 3 parts to that you can actually view on the awards website. So if you go to the videos tab, you'll be able to actually watch the workshop and hear from, Sean, one of our judges who spoke, also Jeremy Johnson, the CEO of Sovereign Hill, and he certainly provides some tips and benefits of entering. But today is a refresher on the workshops, but also hopefully to give you some hints and tips to help you with your entry. By now, I hope that most of you have nominated and are starting your draft versions of your entry. So what I'd like to do first up, without going into too much preamble about what the awards are about, because I guess most of you know that by now, is really just to give you a recap of the rules of entry. And the reason I need to do this is because, you know, basically what you put in your responses really will, you know, come back to the rules for entry, particularly when you start talking about examples and outcomes. So just remember, when you start talking about your responses, they do need to qualify in the last financial year. So there will be parts of your entry that obviously are historical and things that don't change in your business from year to year. But when you start talking about the challenges or the outcomes or your goals, anything that you're doing in relation to planning, it might not even be an outcome, but it needs to reflect of what's happened in the last financial year. So please don't forget that, and please don't talk about things that have happened outside of that period when you start providing examples and results. So the entry process is worth 100 points, and there's 5 sections which Judge Justin Vaughan will talk about shortly, but you also have a site visit, and now most categories have an additional 20 points allocated to that site visit, and you can see on the screen there are some categories that don't actually have points allocated to the site visit. It's just a verification process only. The reason we still have a site visit is really just to ensure that you have an opportunity to meet a judge, ask them any questions, and you might even like to even question them about your business and some of your goals and aspirations for the business, because these guys are tourism professionals, and it's a free consultation for you guys. It is also crucial that we have the verification process to make sure that what you've said in your entry does exist, and if you come up to the same marks as another entrant, it's a deciding factor of who should actually be awarded gold or silver, or whether perhaps you come a finalist. New tourism business entrants really have to have commenced operation in the qualifying period, and that is the only category that they can enter if that is the case. This year, with specialised tourism services, that category is for entrants that are unable to meet the criteria of any other category. So if you do feel like you actually fit into one of the other categories, that really is the category for you. One thing about choosing the right category is just to remember, if you were to win, what would you like to be recognised for? So, for example, you might be a tourist attraction, but you have a lot of cultural significance to the local area or the region or state. You could potentially enter cultural tourism as well. So if you were to win, would you rather be seen as the winner of cultural tourism or winner of tourist attractions? So just remember that when you choose your category, it is what you're going to be recognised for. Now, we do have nominations closing this Friday, and by now I think most of you that have registered for today have nominated, so thanks for that. We won't go into too much about how to do that. I'll briefly run over that shortly with the online process. However, you do have until the 4th of September for both business and individual categories. So business are obviously the first 27 categories, and the last 3 are recognising individuals. So we have one for volunteers, one for young achiever, and one for outstanding contribution by an individual. So if you know somebody or a group of people that need to be recognised out there, please consider entering them into one of the individual categories. The process is a lot less work, so you will actually find the time to be able to pull that together fairly quickly. So we'll move right along, but before I do, we are taking questions today. So if you have a question, please send that through by clicking on the question box. What we'll do is we'll answer them at the end, and the reason for doing it at the end is because we may actually cover it in the presentation today. So for those that have entered in the past, you will be aware that there are 5 levels of achievement. So we have the top 3 winners, which are gold, silver and bronze. And silver and bronze were only introduced 2 years ago. So previously, Victoria only recognised gold winners and finalists. So it's a really great way now to be able to showcase those other second and third place getters. And also finalists are those that have reached 75% or more. So we can have a number of finalists in each category. And Hall of Fame is awarded to the gold winners who win 3 consecutive years in a row in the same category. And as you can see with the numbers and the stats in front of you, we actually had 132 entries last year, which was a great number. It was increased from the previous year. And of those 132 entries, 91 actually achieved 75% or more. So it is a really good outcome for Victoria and a really good I guess, ratio of the potential to win. So good luck, and please note that as long as you put in the time and the energy and take on what we say today, you should be certainly in one of those winning categories this year. Just to remind you, 75% is classified as a finalist or a top 3 winner. So briefly, the changes in 2017, I think you all might be aware that this year is the very first year that the awards program is going online. And it's very exciting because what that means to many past entrants is that you know, the formatting rules that used to apply and the creative design of pulling together a submission have all been removed. That was a very, I guess, stressful part for many entrants in the past, and now the online version really focuses on just a question and a result online response. So you have a 12,500 word limit. Now that word limit can be used how you see across the entire entry, all of the questions, sorry. So you might like to actually choose you know, 500 words for the very first question and 300 for the next, and so on. But just remember, each question does have points allocated to it. So in the past, we used to say 3 points was worth about a page of text in response. This year, we will say a point is worth about 125 words. Now, this is just a rough guesstimate for you guys. You've got to remember that it's really the quality of the response, not the amount of words that you put down. So please remember the quality of the response is probably worth more than saying whether you've actually written enough or not. Sometimes more is less, is what we say. There is one category, excellence in food tourism. If there's anyone out there that is entering that category, that's the only business category that has a word count limit of 8,000 words. Now, the onus is on all of you guys to monitor your word count. If you do go over the word count, there may be a penalty applied. So just remember to monitor your word count and ensure that it doesn't increase over 12,500 words. Those individual categories that I mentioned earlier, they have a 2,500 word limit. So as I said, it's an easier process because obviously you're nominating on behalf of an individual. We want to make that process a little bit easier, and we want to make sure that those people that are contributing to the industry in their own right are recognised. In addition to the word count, we have 25 images that you can use across the entry process this year. So we'll talk a bit more about the types of images that we would expect to see or that you can use a bit later. But in addition to the image, you can support each image with a 6-word caption. So what that means is if you were to times 25 images by 6 words, you have an additional 150 words to use. But that only applies to the images. So just remember, if you want to talk about the image, you have a maximum of 6 words. You can't use that additional 150 words in responding to questions. They only apply to the images. Now, anyone that's entering the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander and any of the 2 festivals and event categories, there has been some question changes this year. So please, if you have entered in the past, please don't rely on the questions that were available last year. It is really only this year that you need to be focused on, and please ensure that you've actually monitored which questions have changed. So for those past entrants, this new online entry process is going to be quite a new way of responding to the criteria. And I want to just give you a bit of a snapshot on how that entry process works. So obviously, most of you would have nominated via the Tourism Awards website at this stage. And so what I want to tell you is that I've got this pointer here. The nominate button here that you see and the nominate button that you will see on the right-hand side will actually turn into a different button after nominations close, and it will be basically your login button to go back to your entry. So if you haven't saved the login for the nomination, you'll be able to still access it from the Tourism Awards website. Now, as I mentioned, nominations do close this Friday at 5 p.m. So if you haven't nominated, it's crucial that you do so. And please spread the word if there's anyone else that you know that needs to nominate. So once you've nominated, you'll click on that nominate button and it will take you to the Australian Tourism Awards portal. Now, this is a gentle reminder. You can see all of the different states listed here, and you're probably wondering why you have to see all the other states. Well, just remember that this awards program is actually developed from a national framework by the Australian Tourism Industry Council. So all of the rules and the questions are set nationally, and if you're entering in any of the categories between 1 and 25 and you win, you will automatically go through to be judged nationally, and all of the national judges will access your responses through this portal. So it has a dual function. We access it here at a state level with our state judges, and then for the winners, the national judges will access your responses through the portal also. So just to give you a bit of background, if you have not yet set up an account, this is obviously where you need to do that, and you just need to provide an email address and a password. Now just remember that email and password is your access into this entry process. So if you were to leave your role or go away on holidays and somebody's going to take over, please pass on those details. You certainly can retrieve your password, but you need to know the email address that you've registered to obviously get a new password. Now, for many of our operators, they have gone through the Australian Tourism Accreditation Program, and what that means is that this awards program is a buddy to that system. And if you have a login for that for the accreditation, you can actually access the awards through the same login account. So just remember that anyone that's accredited, you may, instead of creating a new account, use the login details that you already have. Obviously, if you wanted to jump back to the Victorian Tourism Award website, you can actually do that through this button here. And once you've set up your account, you simply need to log in using this login button. So this is what you get once you've logged in, and what you can see down the bottom is a list of 3 dummy examples of nominations. For most of you out there, once you've nominated, your nomination will probably, it will appear here, but just the one. You can actually enter more than one category if you choose to, and we have a number of entrants that do sometimes enter 2 categories and potentially 3. You can't enter, for example, 2 categories in the same sector. For example, attractions or festivals and events or accommodation, you could only enter 1 entry in one of those sectors. So if you're an accommodation operator, you need to determine which is the best fit for your accommodation property, whether it's self-contained, luxury or deluxe. You wouldn't be able to enter self-contained and luxury. So to nominate, what you need to do is actually press this Nominate Now button. And what that does is brings up a screen where you need to actually choose the category and provide some basic details about the product that you're entering. Before you do that, you may like to download this user guide. Now, this user guide is really helpful for operating this online system, but what I will say is that the system is quite intuitive and that you shouldn't have any trouble accessing or understanding how it works without the user guide. But just as a helpful hint, you may like to download that PDF to refer to as you start populating your responses. So what you can see down here is that there's 3 different nominations. Once you've nominated, it'll say processed here. It won't say approved, but what it does is it generates an email to me, and I actually vet each nomination to make sure that you guys are fitting in the right category. And generally speaking, if I'm accessible to the email, I'll approve that or give you a call straight away, and you'll receive an email back to say that your nomination has either been approved or declined. If it's declined, we'll have that conversation before you see that email so you understand why it's been declined. But I think for most of you out there, you would have already nominated already, so we won't spend too much time talking about that. The way to access the responses to the questions is by clicking on this Start Entry button. And that will actually bring up all of the different questions and the fields of where you need to provide responses. But before I show you that screen, I just want to actually go back and just show you here that your company profile that you set up when you set up your account is accessible here, and you can actually update those details at any stage. Please disregard invoices and charges and the Pay Now button. Basically, that is for the states that actually charge to enter the awards. Here in Victoria, it is free to enter. The only cost to you is really your time to pull together the entry. So to start your entry, you need to click the Start Entry button. And this is the screen that you'll get. Bit of a welcome preamble. Again, you've got the user guide and you can jump back to the Tourism Awards website. You can also see here there's a Next Section tab. So you can scroll through by pressing Next Section, or alternatively, down the bottom, you have a series of tabs. And the tabs indicate that they're not complete because they have a red cross around them. So once you've populated some content in each of these tabs, in each of the sections, these red crosses will actually turn to green ticks. And when you have all of these green ticks up here, actually a submit button will populate in this space here. But what I will say is if you have green ticks, it doesn't always mean that your entry is complete. It just means that you've put content in each of the areas that require it. So please ensure that each question has been responded to and it's at the stage that you are actually happy with. Now, what I will say is, before I jump to the next screen, my tips to start drafting responses is to actually open up a Word document and start drafting your responses in Word. And the reason I say that is because the Word document will act as a backup for you, so you've got something in your own files, but you can also share that document with others. It's really valuable to flick that through to somebody that knows your business for proofreading, but also for value add. We all have a very different and unique way of writing, so sometimes our responses may not be understood by the other person. It's a great way to just test out whether the judge will actually understand what you've said, and you have time to obviously change that before you put it into the system. So moving right along, we're going to talk about drafting your responses. This year, with it being online, it's really crucial that you provide personality in your writing style. In past years where entrants pulled together a creative submission, there was obviously the ability to be able to create an impression and an emotion for the judge in the way that you've presented your results. This year, it's simply words and a photo or an image. So you really need to focus on writing with personality, and make sure that you bring out the passion in your business and your enthusiasm, the things that you really value, and what your goals and missions are. And it's not uncommon for entrants to actually write in a comical or humorous style. So if you have a case study that is kind of a funny one, please include that, because this is a bit of a journey for our judges. Our judges need to be inspired to read more. So that's why I say add the personality, because the last thing the judges want to pick up is a really dry report. They actually want to pick it up as if they're reading a novel and a story, and they want to be taken on the journey of your business and what's happened in the past 12 months. I've talked about drafting your responses in Word. Just remember that this is your backup. The system will hold your responses, but it's better to get your final entry as the best that it can be in Word before you actually bring it over into the system. The Word obviously will also give you it'll help you manage your word count, and it'll also check your spelling. Now, what I will say is that when you create your Word document, please don't spend time with fancy formatting. This entry process is all designed to actually focus on the content rather than any fancy elements that were actually as part of the entry process in the past. So please avoid shaded colour, coloured fonts, different size fonts, all of that sort of thing. Keep it really basic in your Word document. I suggest just write in Arial at size 12 points, and then when you go to the stage of copying over your responses, it should be a fairly seamless process. The more complex formatting you have in your Word document, the system is actually going to struggle with once you try and transfer that over. Now, tables. I've had a few questions at the workshops. Are tables images? Well, no, they're not. You create tables in Word, and just as Word will count the words inside your tables, this system does the same. So just remember that the word count will actually count all of the words in your tables. Please don't put pictures inside your tables or any infographics, and avoid that coloured shading. Just keep it plain and simple. The system will allow you to do bolding, so obviously if you need things to stand out as headings, you certainly can actually do that. Now, finally, before we move on to talking about how to draft a winning response, I want to just say, please test this system. So get one of your questions to the point where you want it, and actually copy and paste that response over into the system. This will be, I guess, a head start for you to I guess, understand how much time you might need to actually transfer that information over and include images. And we'll talk about images shortly. So, how to draft a winning response. So, there's 5 sections, and Justin's going to go through those shortly. But what I would recommend that you do is actually start off in the business planning section. The reason I say that is because business planning section is really the bones or the executive summary of what is to come in the other remaining sections. So what you say in the business planning section really needs to flow through in the remaining sections. So consider it as an executive summary and I guess the high level account of your responses throughout the remaining submission. The tourism excellence section, which is section 1, is really the section that will set the scene and create a first impression for the judge, and Justin will talk to you more about that when he goes through the sections with hints and tips. So be clear about how much each question is asking, and that means dissecting the question into parts. In most cases, it will just be a single question, but some of the questions actually do come double or triple barreled, and that means they've asked 2 or 3 questions in the one question. So just make sure that you are answering every part of the question and identify what the question is specifically asking. Then you need to back it up with responses to and evidence to each part of the question. Now, when you read the questions, really consider what the question is asking. If there's a question around innovation, that is the word that you need to respond to. If it's commitment to customer service, it's asking you about your commitment and what is the customer service that you're delivering. So just remember to read those questions carefully and ensure that you know exactly what the question is asking. Now, what I would suggest you do to respond to questions is provide a bit of a structure to your response. So you talk a bit about the background of the situation, and then you talk about the actions that you took to respond to that action, and then the specific results achieved. So what that tells the judge is that you've acknowledged that you have a commitment to customer service, or that you've developed a new innovation. You've described how you managed those activities, and then you talk about the specific results that you achieved. And that really does actually provide the judge with a solid response and shows that you've actually either achieved or you've learned something from the experience. It's not always about having an achievement. It's about learning and growing your business from things that have failed. Judges actually like to see things that have failed, but they want to know that you're trying to do new things and grow the business in new ways. A really big tip is to support your response with testimonials, quotes, and evidence. And these are really easy to come by. I'm sure you've all got testimonials online somewhere. Just Google your business, go to TripAdvisor, any of those sites, and I'm sure that people have said something positive about your business. If you'd like to get some specific quotes, you might like to engage with your community or other people that work alongside your business and get quotes. Now, I'm going to give you some winning words from entrants later on, but just Kylie Sherman from the Royal Mail Hotel particularly pointed out that she saw some really great quotes, but she ensured that the quotes actually described something that you did that demonstrated your commitment to excellence, rather than just saying, oh, this business is great and we really value them as part of the community. Think about quotes that actually describe something that you've done and that actually acts as really solid evidence for your response. Now, evidence can also be your images that you use. So obviously screen grabs of your testimonials, or you might like to grab a screen grab of your website or marketing collateral, infographics. All of those images really support your response. So think carefully about your image choice, and we'll talk a bit more about that shortly. As I said at the beginning of this section, the business planning section should be the executive summary of what is to follow in the remaining 3 sections. So just remember to link your responses throughout the entry, and then you'll get a holistic view of your business for the past 12 months. So what are the judges looking for? So a well-written entry. Now you only have 12,500 words to respond, so making sure that you avoid that waffle and making sure that things are said in the most clear and concise way possible. Remember that personality. Remember to give it. Remember to have your enthusiasm and passion shine through, and also remember that there's a good flow. So consider what you're going to actually respond to in the remaining sections, and make sure that that's a bit of a journey for the judge to read. Measurable goals and outcomes. So tell the judge what your goal was and what the outcome, how the actual outcome was received. So even if it wasn't a positive outcome, you can certainly talk about the results and you know, how that actually related back to your goal. And sometimes we trial things and they don't work, and you can actually talk about that and say, well, actually as a test, this didn't work, so we've actually revised our goals for the future planning period. So financially well managed and a sound business, well, the judge wants to know that you're going to be sustainable, and there is a section around sustainability which touches on that. You just really need to demonstrate that you do have systems in place to obviously manage your finances well, and we don't actually need to see finances or results of any revenue and profit and loss and so on, but the judges need to know that you have got a good, sound operating system, and you know, in the business planning section, you might like to tap into how you manage your finances well. That strategic approach is really, I guess, there to really remind our entrants that every business needs to think strategically about growing their business, about planning for the future, and also refreshing what their goal and vision is for the forthcoming 12-month period. So judges will want to see that as you write your responses and you take them on that journey, they want to feel that strategic approach that you have applied to your business. Awareness of your marketplace is obviously your local community, the region in what you operate, and the industry in general. So really talk about how you engage. After all, tourism is all about engagement and connections and partnerships. So obviously talk about your awareness of what actually happens and operates around you and how you tap into that. Once again, flair and innovation and that industry knowledge really needs to come through every question and throughout the entire entry process. So this is the screen that you probably have all seen by now. If not, this is what it looks like to respond to a question. And I've actually just put in some sample text and a couple of images just to show you what judges will be expecting to see. And what I can tell you is exactly what you put in this box here is exactly what the judge will see. So underneath each question, the only difference is the judges will have a comment box that will just be underneath here, and then they will have a score here. So once you've got your Word document and your responses to the point where you feel like they need to be inputted in here, you simply copy and paste the text in here. Now, images can actually relate to the text, so simply put the cursor at the point of when you want an image to appear. Once again, you can bold, italicize and underline, and that's really helpful to separate sections. And normal functions such as centering and left and right alignment are there, as well as the dot points and numbering. Now, images is that little icon here to upload an image. I'll show you how to do that shortly. If you were going to create a table directly into this box, you would do that using this table function button that I'm pointing to now. However, if you've created a table in Word, it should copy over fairly easily. Now, you might be thinking, well, once I've started populating my text in here and added a couple of images, I can't really see it all and it's not giving me a full perspective of what my response looks like. Down here in the right-hand corner, you can actually see a little icon. If you clicked on that and dragged it over, it would actually make that screen bigger. Or alternatively, you can actually press on this magnifying glass here, which will make it page view, and you'll see the entire response. And I suggest that you do that because you'll be able to see how your response will end up for the judges in a complete form. Now, you can save as you go by clicking the Save button, but the system also saves automatically every time you click somewhere on this page. So the last time that you paged, if the power went down or your battery died, it would bring it back to the last time that you've clicked on the page. So just remember, you won't have lost everything. You'll be able to retrieve it to the last time that you've clicked on the page. Now, you can actually monitor your word count here. Obviously, you'll be doing that in the Word format, but you can actually also monitor the entire word count by clicking on this little arrow here. And next to the arrow is a print function, which will print the entire report from of what you've completed today. So you might like to use that function to proof or scribble notes instead of looking at the computer the whole time. Alternatively, you can actually print the entire thing for when you're at the very end, so you've got a complete report as a copy that you might like to pass on to management or just to have on file. Obviously, going back and forwards, you can use these previous and next section tabs, and again, you can click directly on these tabs down the bottom to jump to sections. Now, two sections that I haven't talked about or made note of is the site inspection and the media trophy recipient details. This is some more contact information we need from you. Obviously, a judge will come and meet you, so we need to actually have those details of the person that will meet the judge for the site inspection. And then if you are lucky enough to win on the night, we need to know who's going to collect the trophy on stage and who to direct any media inquiries to help promote your win. Now we'll just move on. So to upload an image, I'll just jump back. Once again, you need to click on that picture icon. From your draft Word document, I would not suggest trying to copy that image and then pasting in here. You actually need to upload the image. So don't get confused with copying and pasting. That really only applies to the text. Once you've got your text in your response, you need to click the cursor of where the image is to appear and then click upload. So this is the screen that you'll get to upload your images, and what you will have is a collection of 25 images here at the end. And to insert your image, you choose the image that you want to click on, and it will turn blue, and you can press insert. Now, image sizing is a bit of a funny one. What I suggest you do is, in your Word document, get the images that you want to use and get them to the size that fit in a Word document, and then you'll know that when you go to upload, they'll be the relevant size for the portal as well. However, if you run out of time and you haven't done that and you do an automatic upload, just remember that we ask for images to be 1 meg or less, and generally speaking, the width will be 250 pixels. You can actually change the size, so you may like to just upload your image and insert and see what it looks like. If it's really massive, you can delete and come back to this image and click on it and change the sizing here to reduce it to what you think is the right size. And if we just jump back to the previous screen, you can see that, you know, this is what it will look like from the size that I've created. I may like to make it slightly larger, given that that's a map and there's words in that image. So just make sure that whatever you've used as your image is legible. Obviously, if you're doing a screenshot or a media article and you want the words to be read, the image size needs to be big enough to be able to read those words. So when I talk about testing the system, this is something that I would recommend that you do sooner rather than later, so that you don't get stressed out at the very last minute. So once you've inserted your image, it obviously populates here, and then you can continue to write underneath it. Don't be fussed about butting up your text against the side. The judges are really looking for a response and the image to support the response as your evidence. We're really not looking at the creative layout of this, it's really the quality of your response. So talking a bit more about images for online, we've talked about that they should be less than a meg in size, and just remember they all need to be JPEGs. I would recommend that you resize the images before upload because that will save you time. And the ideal size, generally speaking, is 250 by 300 pixels. You can make that larger, or you could even make it smaller if it was, say, a logo. That doesn't need to be very big. It could be an accreditation tick or your branding. Now, this year, a really big helpful hint is that you can actually use composite images. So this means that you may like to create an image before you upload it that has 4 images in one. And that's a sneaky way of actually, I guess, presenting 4 different levels of evidence. And a good example is when you talk about your target markets, judges will want to actually see that your target market is actually visiting your business. And if you've got 4 different types of target markets, you may be able to do a composite image that showcases a picture of each of those target markets. Now, for those out there that aren't very savvy with recreating images, I've put this little icon, which is Canva. There's a free online editing software that's available now called Canva, and it's really user-friendly. And you'll be able to recreate anything from images, combining a selection of photos as one, or even creating infographics and graphs and so on. So have a look at that if you've got time, and you may like to actually use that to help you with your image creation. And I do believe Canva comes on as an app on your phone, so that might even be another way of creating the images, and then you just email those images back to your email account to insert in your response. Now, definition of images are basically anything that's JPEG and you're going to upload, but they're not always photos. They can be infographics, which are obviously a dissection of information and a snapshot of results and evidence, but they can be also graphs, pictures, images, or even a map, as you saw previously. Using a variety of image types throughout the entry process will really help stimulate the judge and keep them enthused about, I guess, reading your responses and being taken on that journey. So just remember to be creative with the type of images. For example, the marketing section is a great opportunity to include images of your collateral or media articles, or a screenshot of your website, or any advertisements that you've done to support a campaign that you've been involved in or you've run. So just remember to provide a bit of creative flair with the image types. And we did talk at the beginning that each image has a 6-word caption. So that is useful to help the judge explain what you're trying to communicate in the image if it's not self-explanatory. So I've got a couple of examples here of what image types can be like. Obviously, here's that collage or that composite image that I was describing, and you know, this could be, you know, a sample image for your target markets that you know, have, you know, families, school children, nature enthusiasts if they're camping, and obviously teenagers. Also, the infographic, this is something you might like to try and create on Canva, which has a snapshot of information in a creative way, and the judges can actually see what you're trying to explain fairly quickly, and it looks quite easy to digest. And obviously a map is very useful to, I guess, identify where you're located. Particularly, you can see there's a breakout here and another breakout here. If your entry does go to national judging, this map here, which will probably go in the first section of tourism excellence, will help the national judges really understand where you're coming from. So now I'm going to hand over to Justin Vaughan, who's our judge here in Victoria, but also a national judge, and he's going to give you some background into the 5 sections and provide you some hints and tips. So over to you, Justin.
Great, thanks Mike. Thanks for running through all of the system and how it sort of works together. First of all, I just wanted to say that you should all remember that you've got the site visit, and you'll have a judge who'll come out and have a look at your business and your property, and it's a great opportunity to link back everything you've explained in your submission and show them the various bits and pieces of evidence and testimonials and various aspects of the way that your business operates through that site visit. I'm particularly interested in, the back of house operations of a business. Remembering this is a business awards process, so as much as we'd love to see, what the experience is from a customer perspective, we're also interested in how the business operates and, some of your the way that the strategy all fits together and then what plays out in terms of the operations of the business. So when it comes to the submission and the various 5 sections of the submission, you just need to keep that in mind all the way through as well. So there are 5 sections to the submission. The first section really introduces your business and the various products that you have as a tourism business. And it also sort of, I guess, explains to judges why you think your business is excellent. So we're talking about tourism excellence is that first section. The second section is about business planning, and as Mike said, it really gives an opportunity for you to explain the overall plan that you have for your business and what's your overall business strategy, business plan, and that includes that you've looked at all the various risks to the business and considered those. The business planning section also sets the scene for other parts of the submission, particularly the next 3 sections. The first being your marketing plan and your approach to marketing, explaining who your target markets are and the marketing strategy. The next one being customer service and your overall approach to customers and understanding how you work with them. And the final section around sustainability, looking at your approach to the local community and the environment. We really want to get a feel for how this business is a sustainable tourism business. So getting into tourism excellence, as I said, this is a section that really introduces your business and the various products that you have to the judges. It's important to set the scene of who you are, and really this is a great opportunity to talk about how you came to develop the business and where it all sort of came from. It's an opportunity to give your personality to start to show through in the submission and introduce the judges to who you are. We want to know that you have selected the right category. So you need to explain how your business fits that category. You want to leave no doubt that you're in the right category and that you are a tourism business and that you're an excellent tourism business. You want to really understand how you sort of fit in the overall industry. This is a great opportunity to outline all of your achievements. So things like completing the accreditation program, any other awards that you might have won that year in the qualifying period, any memberships that you have or committees you're part of, really showing that you are a leader in the tourism industry in your region, your area, and in Victoria, of course, as well. It's an opportunity to really showcase the values that you have as a tourism business and your commitment to excellence. The next section, business planning. This is really the basis for the rest of how the other questions sort of flow out. Really, the rest of the sections should build on this section. So we're wanting to see an overview of your business plan and your business strategy. You want to understand, particularly for the last 12 months, the qualifying period ending on 30 June 2017. What were the objectives and the goals that you set for that year, and how does that relate to your overall long-term vision and plan for your business? We want to know what those goals are, what's the sort of strategy and plans that you put in place to achieve that, and understanding of some of those high-level outcomes, understanding that in relation to marketing, customer services, sustainability, you'll have an opportunity to expand on those in the other questions. We want to see that you've tried new things, that you've really looked at how you could improve and grow your business. So that continuous improvement is really an important part of showing that you're an excellent business, that you're always trying to improve on what you've achieved in the past. With the innovation questions, we really want you to explain what the story is. How did you identify that there was a problem or an opportunity that you wanted to explore? What did you do and what were the outcomes? You really need to take that sort of formulaic approach. What was the goal that you were trying to achieve? How did you go about it, and what was the outcomes? Remembering that the judges are looking for lots of examples and evidence throughout your submission. In the risk management section, we want to know that you've got a good understanding of the risks to your business, financial risks, external market factors, all of those risks that might be at play for your business. We want to see a good summary of what those risks are, and that you've been able to address them through your business planning practices. Also, want to know that you've got that commitment to staff development and training, and how have you gone about factoring that into the overall business plan. With the staff training and development, this could include online research or workshops, contributions to FMILs and conferences, all of those sorts of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be a structured training program. What we're trying to see is that you've identified the staff training needs and then implemented a program to address that. When it comes to the marketing section, this is really an opportunity to give us and the judges an overview of your marketing plan and marketing strategy. We want to see a summary of who your target audience is. What do you know about them? What are their demographics or life cycle characteristics, but also the way that they think, or the psychographics elements. We want to understand that you know how these target markets think and the types of media that they use and consume, and you understand how to reach those customers. We also want to know that you have understood and are able to articulate what the point of difference is for your product, the unique selling point, and how you differentiate yourselves from your competitors. What sets you apart? Is it price? Is it the location? Is it the overall experience? What are those factors that really make your product unique, and how do you then communicate that to your customers or the target market? Again, in terms of the innovation side of things, we want to see that you've tried new marketing techniques and initiatives, and what sort of digital activities have you tried this year? Any sort of new marketing activities, we're really interested in understanding why you identify that as an opportunity and what you did and what some of the results were. So really showing that continuous improvement. Might be targeting a new market. What sort of things were you looking at? Did you use social media? What sort of public relations and advertising opportunities did you pursue? Did you create a new website, some rebranding? All of those sorts of things. I think the other important point at this for this section is to not just explain the existing customer base that you're getting, but really give us a good overview of the target market that you're trying to tap into. So you might want to use research from some of those other tourism bodies like Tourism Australia or VTIC Victoria, really giving us an idea around how you've gone about researching your target market, understanding who they are, and then tailoring your marketing plan and strategy to that. You really want to see that strategic approach. Again, this section should link back to some of the objectives that you set in your business plan. So again, we want to see that flowing through and the continuous story right through from the beginning of the submission. In customer service, we want to be seeing what's your overall commitment to your customers. Have you got a policy or a charter that talks about your commitment to customers? What sort of protocols do you have in place? Do you have a procedure for welcoming your customers? What's the procedures for answering phone calls? What's your overall promise? We want to show that you've got some understanding of the level of service that you provide to your customers and how that links back to the product that you're offering in the market and your competitive proposition. We're also interested in understanding how you cater for different types of visitors. So this might be people who speak different languages. So if you're into targeting international markets, so how do you cater for those foreign language differences? We're also interested in how you cater for people with disabilities and different access requirements, an older demographic, people who are less mobile. What about large groups, particularly school groups and large tour groups? How would you cater for those types of visitors? Interested in also business travellers and those people who might be have less time, and of course people who have different needs in terms of food requirements or people who smoke or have those other sorts of needs. How are you catering for them? You also need to explain in this section that you have a good and systematic approach to measuring customer satisfaction and then responding to all of those sorts of suggestions and particularly any complaints. We want to see that you've got a clear customer complaint process and procedure. This is a great opportunity to show that you have listened to what your customers have told you and then adapted and evolved your business product, your business and your product and your customer service offer to better reflect the needs of your customers. So even if you've got a complaint, it's a great opportunity at this point to explain how you've gone about addressing that complaint in the immediate instance for that particular customer, but then also expand on that and talk about how you've then implemented changes to your overall business practices to maintain that great customer service. So for the last section, I've got to say that often people will leave this section to the very last, and so we find as judges that reading through the submissions, you kind of run out of steam. So my suggestion for this section would be to start thinking about this question quite early on and start measuring all of the things that you do, getting some of those quotes that relates to sustainability. Remembering that the judges are looking for tangible evidence and lots of examples. We really like to see that you've tracked using data, continuous improvement over a particular period with reference to the qualifying period being last financial year ending 30 June. So it's an opportunity here to look at your electricity bills, your water bills, your paper use. If you're a tour operating business with lots of vehicles and a fleet, how do you monitor your fuel use? And include some of that data with graphs and those sorts of things. This is a real opportunity to talk about how you talk about the environment and conservation, the way that you explain to customers the practices you have in terms of recycling, water efficiency and minimising waste, really making sure that you've explained the various practices you have to make sure you've got a sustainable business and your commitment to the environment. It also might include other programs that you've got that help the environment in terms of revegetation programs or volunteering, looking at wildlife protection and those sorts of things. But not only is it about this environmental sustainability, we're also interested in understanding your contribution to the local community and the local economy. So what sort of use of local suppliers do you have? Do you sponsor community programs? How are you working with other businesses through packaging or cooperative marketing? This is a great opportunity to include quotes from some of your partners into the submission and really work with them on explaining how you work in a sustainable way. Again, we want to see that the goals that you've set in the business planning section really flow through in the sustainability section, and it's an opportunity for you to expand on that and give a lot more detail and evidence and examples of why your business is demonstrating excellence in the sustainability section. My final point around the whole overall submission process is that we really want to understand that you are committed to the tourism industry, that you're a tourism business. We want to see that you've selected the right category and that you are able to demonstrate that throughout the whole submission. And we want to have strong and tangible evidence and examples through all of the submission. So it's not just sort of throwaway statements or claims. You really have to back up any sort of claims that you're making in your submission. So that's my tips for the 5 sections of the submission. And I'll hand over to Mike now to go through some of the other examples.
Thanks, Justin. Guys, we're almost at the end of the webinar, so thanks for hanging on, and hopefully you found some helpful hints and tips. If you've got any questions, punch them in now because we're going to get to that section very soon. To finish up, I wanted to just share with you some winning words, and this year's workshops were conducted at businesses that have won at some level in the awards, and I thought because you may have missed them, it's great to actually hear from the business themselves about what actually has helped them become a winning entrant. And the first one, I think I spoke earlier, was from Kylie Sherman at the Royal Mail Hotel in Dunkeld in the Grampians. She says, find someone in your team to source a range of quotes and testimonials. So just remember, this entry isn't just all on your shoulders. Reach out to anyone else that you can in your team, whether it's your husband or your wife, or if you've got a bigger team. Get everybody on board. It's a collective, and you know, everybody can actually contribute and feel like they're actually putting in the winning entry. And you know, one of the jobs is to source some of those quotes and testimonials, which takes time. And then once you've got those testimonials, choose the ones that refer to the things your business has done to demonstrate excellence, not just say that your business is great. And I mentioned that earlier. It's great for those testimonials to basically respond to one of the questions by explaining what it is that you've done that has created an impression on a visitor or one of your clients. The next one is from Catherine Stubbings in the Great Ocean Road region from Heytesbury House. And Catherine's entered a number of years now, and she and her husband Andrew have really valued the process and the way that they've managed to run the business but also enter is by allocating time. And she says, so allocate time and block it out. We developed Tourism Tuesdays to write our entry and use this time to implement new things for the business. So she went on to sort of say that by actually allocating a day of the week or a certain time, they managed to get across the line by responding to all of the questions. And by responding to the questions, they actually, I guess that they asked themselves what they wanted to achieve for the business, and they actually implemented new things as part of that process. So just, yeah, time management is the key for that tip. Paul Coleman from Phillip Island Grand Prix Circuit, they entered for the first time, I think, last year, and he was suggesting that, you know, don't forget to back up your statements with the relevant data to show that you've actually achieved your goals. Avoid those sweeping statements. So, you know, we're the best in the region for, you know, for customer service. We'll back it up with testimonials or ratings and things like that to actually prove that you have you know, you are actually aware that you are the best that you are. Your responses also need to be clear and succinct, but again, make it interesting to the reader. I can't stress that enough for this year. You really need to provide personality in your writing style, because it really is just going to be response and an image. There's no fancy frills around the edges. It's really going to be the enjoyment of the read. It's as if you're picking up a novel and reading it from cover to cover. And finally, from Sue O'Donoghue from Green Olive at Red Hill. Now, they're a Hall of Fame winner and also national winner. Sue mentioned plan your responses by looking at all of the questions up front. So looking at them all to begin with, and ensuring that you're aware of what's going to be asked, and then plan your responses by ensuring that you have a common thread all the way through. We talked about that journey earlier on in the webinar, and that's really crucial, that what you say in that business planning section flows through to the remaining sections. There needs to be linkages. So in your business planning, you might like to touch on those target markets, and when you get to describing your target markets, you can't simply introduce a new one. So make sure it all connects, there's linkages, and there's that common thread all the way through. Sue says that this will help showcase your business really well from a holistic point of view, and that does. It gives you a real snapshot of how the business operates, the outcomes that you've achieved from the past financial year, and any goals and innovations you're developing into the future. So just remember, if you are doing planning, or you did do planning in the qualifying period, certainly include that. It doesn't have to always be the achievement. It can actually be the process of getting somewhere. And if you decide to enter next year, then you can talk about those achievements. So just to finish up, for those that do go through and enter, remember 4th of September. It's a Monday at 4 p.m. Your entry needs to be in, and following on from that, you can just sit back and know that the judges are looking at your responses, and they'll be arranging a site visit time with you. Now, judging starts from the 8th of September and runs for 5 weeks, so you can expect a call from roughly the 8th of the week following the 8th of September to line up that site visit from a judge. Now, judges generally do a region as a collective, and so they'll not just be visiting you, they'll be visiting other entrants from your local area. There is a bit of flexibility, obviously, both ways, and we try and obviously avoid the busy times. So if you can try and fit in as best you can, the judges will also do that the same for you. We all know that you're really busy running your businesses. We also have the gala ceremony on the 23rd of November back at Palladium at Crown. We return there after a 3-year hiatus. And as you can see on the screen here, all of the winners get up on stage with the minister at the end. It's a fantastic night. It's a night of entertainment, but also a great opportunity to meet all of your industry colleagues from across the state, from across a range of sectors. And a bit of exciting news is that we can introduce this year's MC, which is Rob Mills. And Rob is obviously a very talented singer performer, currently performing in Jesus Christ Superstar here in Melbourne. So he'll be taking the stage and awarding those who excel in their category this year. And finally, support and help. Now, I've got here, use your industry contacts. Think about those businesses that have won in your region. What I found at a lot of the workshops this year, most of those businesses were willing to have a phone call or a conversation with other entrants to talk about their ways of winning. And you certainly tap into that, because you'll get some hints and tips directly from those that have won. And you can also access your local regional tourism organisations, local government. They are always a source of statistics, and they might even be able to provide you some quotes and testimonials as well. Now, I run a mentoring program with a range of industry professionals. We have about 4 places left. So that is a mentoring program for past entrants. So you need to have entered previously to be able to be eligible for that. If you are wanting that support, I encourage you to go to the mentoring page on the awards website and complete an application. Perhaps click me through an email or give me a phone call to say that you want that, and then I can get that underway. Now, we have the last 3 years' workshops filmed, and they're all online on the VTIC YouTube channel, and you can access them from the awards website as well. You may like to see hear from different people. I present in all of those, but we have different judges, and obviously there's some questions from entrants that you might like to hear about as well. And if you'd like to subscribe to our Awards Talk newsletter, I'll be putting some hints and tips into that. That's just done through the homepage of the awards website if you're not already on it. And finally, this awards program is a year-long program, and it's done with the support of a range of partners, particularly WebFirm here today. They've created both the VTIC website and also the Tourism Awards website, and are great in the digital space. So if you're looking for that support, we would certainly advocate and recommend that you touch base with WebFirm. They've kindly put on our webinar today, but all of the other partners as well contribute at some point throughout the year, so we thank them as well. And finally, we're going to go to our questions and see what questions that we have. So just bear with us while we bring them up. So the first question is in relation to a nomination. It says incomplete and on-site pending. That means a nomination has been submitted and has obviously been approved, but it means that it hasn't actually been finalised and submitted. So once a submission goes through, you can still log back into your system. You can see that it has been completed and been lodged for judging. The next question comes from Nigel, and we all know Nigel here at VTIC. Do you recommend responding in first person, i.e. we, our, invest in, or on behalf of the company?
I don't think it really matters. I think it's really your own style, and I think probably the main point is to just be consistent. So if you've chosen to talk in the first person, that you will follow that through the whole submission. We really don't want to be seeing sort of different writing styles throughout a submission. We want to see that consistency.
Third question comes from Sheree, and so do you recommend making reference to supporting images in the question, e.g. see image 1? So the images need to be embedded with the text. Obviously, there are additional images that we ask for promotional purposes, and they are not judged as part of the entry process. They're really used for media and promotional purposes. So if you haven't got to the point of inserting images with your text, there are a different range of images. So just ensure that when you're responding to a question that an image does actually it sits against the text that has responded to the question. We talked about collages. Sheree's also asked about a collage. We did talk about that. Yes, collages or composite images are allowed, and we do encourage that. I think that is a great opportunity to be able to share more in an image. So please, if you've got the ability to stitch a few photos together and upload it as one, that's a really good advantage for you. The next one comes from Heidi. Can you please send through the name and the image editing app you mentioned? Well, it's called Canva, C-A-N-V-A, and you'll be able to access, or you'll be able to see that logo of the right editing tool through this webinar, which we'll make available via the awards website ASAP. But yeah, that is called Canva. Let's just have a look if there's any more just before we sign off. The next one is from Megan. Can you please confirm the two things for me? One is around the composite image. Yes, composite images will only count as one image. So basically, once you upload one image, even if it's combined with 4 images, that is still only one. And we will certainly be sharing this webinar with you later, Megan. So that was the other part to your question. Thank you for the great feedback, great presentation from Rebecca. We appreciate that. And image captions, that's a good question, Rebecca. It says, Rebecca's asked, where do we put the captions for images? Well, directly under the image is the most appropriate spot, Rebecca. So insert your image and then return on the next line and write your 6 words, and then start with a new paragraph directly underneath that. From James, JPEG format for infographics, text-based graphs will pixelate lines. Can we use PNG clarity? Can we use PNG files for clarity quality of the graphics? Look, James, I'm not 100% sure. I've been instructed that they need to be JPEG images. So I guess ensuring that you've got the right size with the right clarity before you upload is probably going to be the best thing that you can do. We'll certainly investigate where the PNG files, maybe just test that as something now rather than later, and if it works, then I would suggest that it will be acceptable. But I have been instructed that it is actually just JPEG images. And once again, Madeline, yes, we will be providing another version of this webinar, and I can certainly provide a PDF version for anyone that wants it as well, and I'll make that available on the website. And finally from Cherie, oops, sorry, I've lost Cherie's question.
Cherie was just asking about how you apply for mentor.
Oh yes, so mentoring is actually available via the awards website, so victoriantourismawards.com.au, and go to the mentoring page. There's the application form there. But Cherie, give me a call and we'll certainly look after you. We've only got one more from lovely Catherine in the Great Ocean Road. With images, do the judges have the ability to enlarge, open for clearer information viewing? No, Catherine. Basically, what you put in your response is exactly what the judges will see. So if you've uploaded an image and it's microscopic and it contains words and it's not legible, then unfortunately that's what the judges will see, and that'll be obviously a disadvantage to you. So that wraps up all of the questions, and we wish you all the best luck. And finally, before we head off today, I'm handing back over to Ian McDougall from VTIC. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you at the gala.
Thanks everyone.
Great, thanks Mike, thanks Justin. Another sensational webinar. Just a quick reminder folks, the Victorian Tourism Conference 24-25 July, that's next Monday, Tuesday at Flemington Racecourse. If you are keen to attend and you haven't yet registered, please give me a call, 86625431 in half an hour or so. From then, I'll be available all for the rest of the day. Our next webinar, as you know, there's a monthly series we're going, Wednesday the 16th of August, 10:30. It's on the VTIC website already. It's soft skills for tourism, and we're really lucky. We've got Gavin Norris from the 3E Factor presenting that one. Should be a really, really good webinar. So 10:30 on the 16th of August. So that's about it from all of us, I think. From behalf of VTIC and also our digital partner web firm, we're all about improving the world one webinar at a time. Thanks, folks. Have a great day.